I knew that I wanted someone who shared the same faith that I did. I think my family took it when Doug came in. He had to be practicing, he had to be in his faith. And part of the love story my family fell in love with was he was going to be a priest.
He had been raised Catholic by his mom, but he hadn't been to church in 15-something years. I go, if this is gonna go somewhere, you're gonna have to come to Mass with me every Sunday. And you need to go to confession.
I went to the confessional, I was so nervous, and I said to the priest, you know, it's been 15 years. He said, just stop right now. I'm like, okay. And then there was a long pause, and the priest is behind the screen, you know, and I'm like, Father, hello, are you still there? He goes, I'm listening. I go, for what? He goes, can you hear? It's the angels singing that you're here.
Yes.
Bill Anderson was our pastor at the time, and we met with him a couple of times. He told me, he said, you need to become Catholic, Lori, and you should probably do it before you get married. He said, you know, you are marrying a very solid Christian man. When you have your family, if you stay Baptist and he's still Catholic, your children will choose the middle and they won't go anywhere. And he said, I've been in this game for so long, I've raised a family, I'm telling you, you need to have one union and you need to have one front. And he said, and Joe is so strong in his faith, he said, let him lead you.
When we went to his father's funeral, the Mass was so beautiful, but he couldn't have the Eucharist. And I saw the look in his eyes. I don't know if he was crying for his father or for the Eucharist, but it sure looked like Jesus was working in his heart.
Faith is really about, I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. You know, grace in that moment. We certainly have encountered difficulties that are unique, and we certainly ask that question a lot, like, how are we going to do this?
I did learn through our journey with our children, you need church family, because they are the ones who are going to carry you through your tribulations in life. You need your village, and you need that foundation of church. So it was after we started to have our difficulties with our boys that I realized, okay, that's where the value is at, right there, that was our foundation. Oftentimes, I've had so many people say, how can you believe in a God that did this to your children? We are living in this fallen world. The only promise I've ever been able to find in the Bible is that He's not going to leave us. He's just not ever going to desert us. And that's what we have experienced, not only in our marriage, I think, you know, just putting people in our life to give us those words that we needed to hear at the specific time, to get us through that next patch and that next journey, to build us up for what He probably, you know, God knew was going to come. Is He going to, you know, can He heal? Yeah, He can. He didn't. He hasn't with Ben yet. But we've never been left alone. We've never felt deserted, ever. And that comes through our community. It comes through our village of people and believers. The way that God just came in, and after, you know, John passed away, how He presented Mary to Ben. It's this incredible visions between Ben and Mary. And she was able to touch his heart in a way that we couldn't get even close to touching and healing. And since that time, he's been peaceful. He's been, John's okay. John's in heaven. And I finally took in the words of, let my will be done. You gotta give it up. It's my will. You gotta trust me and know that your children, your life, it's my will, it's God's will. But I need to just heed myself to surrender to. I don't pray for healing any longer. I just pray for His will and for me to be able to surrender to it.
Paul says in Philippians chapter 4, and I'll just paraphrase it, whatever is true and noble and beautiful and things to praise, focus on these things, right? That's the way he can make it through Christ who strengthens him. We have to choose to go back to see what is good and noble and beautiful and things to praise in our spouse and in our families and in our life. And when we do that and choose to see what is good in each other, that reshapes our experience.
Throughout our marriage, one thing that we've always prayed for is to do the Lord's will in our lives. We really look at our mission as our North Star. The idea is that it guides us. And so it's something to always come back to. It's something to always remind us the direction that we're going together as a couple.
And as part of my proposal to her, I told her that we should be 2 Corinthians 5:20 ambassadors of Christ and of marriage and of each other. And so the idea is to really present ourselves in the best way possible so that we could be good, I guess in a sense, stewards of the concept of marriage, but to live it out and then be shining lights of this beautiful sacrament. It's very common for husbands to cite Ephesians chapter 5 and say, you better be submissive to me. I'm the head of the household. And then they forget the next part. And husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, that he was willing to give up his life for her sake. And so it's that idea of obedience, which comes from the root, obedere, which is to listen. And that's the idea of listening in every way, not just the audible, but listening. So find out even the little things that make a difference to the other, and then try to do our best to make that happen.
When Doug said he wanted to do the diaconate, I cannot tell you I was thrilled. I was not thrilled because of past hurts and past issues working in ministry. I go, please just do it. And then, but they would have this requirement, the wives, and it was good. And I'm glad I did it. And then the requirement, it wasn't easy, but this was important to Doug. And I didn't want to stand in his way of not being ordained. This is his gift. This is what God has called him to. I said, there is another woman in our relationship, and it's called Mother Church.
You said you knew from the time you met me that I was already God's first.
Yes, I did.
And that you would just have to accept that.
Yeah.
I've always believed this even before Pope Francis came along and said, you evangelize with your actions more than you ever do with your words. And that the reason how you bring people to faith is that you show them a way of living that is inspired by your faith that they then want to emulate, right? I mean, for me, it was watching the faith of my mother's side of the family, mostly her uncles, honestly, who were these very faithful men and very faith-filled men. And a lot of the ways I think I learned about marriage was also watching my mother's uncles. They taught me a lot. They taught me how to take care of their wives. They taught me about the way they take care of their kids.
I thank God that we met each other. I thank God that we came back to the church. I think that our bond with our faith and belief in Christ has only strengthened our marriage. But it's that commitment to each other. And like they say in the marriage vows, in good times and bad times, because there's going to be both. And if you think it's only going to be good times, then that's not reality.
People on the outside will say, oh, I don't know how you do it. But I go, what, experience this much joy, this much love? Yeah, I don't really know how we do either, but we do. And that's the miracle. But that's also choice.